Good morning. My name is Akash Sanjay Khobragade. I am coordinator at Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge and PhD scholar at Delhi University of Department of Sociology. Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge is formed by Professor Dr. Leela Karunyakara sir, and his idea behind this institution to provide an academic space to professor, doctor, and social scientists who are engaged in the field of Dalit studies. Today, Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge is going to have its 33rd lecture, and Professor Karunyakara are going to be chaired, and also he's the key speaker of this lecture. And I'll take a pleasure to introduce him and welcome him for the today's lecture. Professor Karunyakara sir is former Vice Chancellor and founder of Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge. He is the author of books like History of Dalit Identity and Modernization of Buddhism. After completing his PhD from JNU, Professor Dr. Leela Karunyakara sir joined as assistant professor at School of Ambedkar's Thought in Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar Ambedkar University, Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University, Lucknow, a central university. He introduced the Dalit history course in MA history program. He was instrumental in introducing 50% reservation in BBAU SC/ST admissions. He founded Ambedkar University Dalit Student Union in 2000 and Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar Central University SC/ST Teacher Association in 2006. He joined as director cum professor in Babasaheb Ambedkar Sidhu Kanun Murmu Center for Dalit and Tribal Studies, Mahatma Gandhi Antarashtriya Hindi Vishwavidyalaya. He held post of Dean of School of Culture and former Vice Chancellor of the university. So this is a brief introduction of Professor Dr. Leela Karunyakara sir. We welcome him from today's lecture, and I request Professor Dr. Leela Karunyakara sir, please deliver his lecture. He's going to deliver his lecture on the previous part. This will be the second part of the lecture, which we start, and the topic is Mr. Russell and Reconstruction.
Thank you, Mr. Akash. Please confirm that am I clearly audible as well as visible fully? Okay, let me start now. See, we had part one. It's a book review of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. Let me recap what I said in the part one. So we'll go ahead after 5 minutes with the part two. Let me recap in a few minutes. This is volume one of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Writing and Speeches, volume one. Here we have a booklet, book review, Mr. Russell and the Reconstruction of Society. The book review title is Mr. Russell and the Reconstruction of Society. It's a Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar reviewed Mr. Bertrand Russell's book. The book title is Principles of Social Reconstruction. This book is being, it was reviewed by Babasaheb Ambedkar, and the review title is Mr. Russell and the Reconstruction of Society, on which we had a discussion in the part one. That's the last Saturday lecture. This lecture is in continuation of that part one. In the part one, remember, the book review is only one. This lecture series is part two, part one and part two. Book review is only, there is no part one, but there is no part two of the book review. Book review is only one. But this lecture is divided into two parts. The first part we had talked about how the concept of impulse that creates the activity in the man's thought. That's what we talked about, how Russell viewed the man's activity from the perspective of impulse. That we had around 1.5 hour discussion last class, in the last lecture. So let me recap, very few minutes I'll take to recap what I talked in the last lecture. In the last lecture, what Mr. Russell viewed the human activity, how he viewed human activity from the perspective of impulse. Impulse is a man's nature. It's instant action. It's not that impulse is born character. It's by sometimes some inborn quality as well as sometimes education and experience he gain. I said that how the impulse act occurs. Suppose when any person is playing a football and you are not a player and watching it or crossing over by it, walking over by it, that match. So when the ball reaches to you, what you do? Generally, you don't throw the football like a cricket ball. You also start kicking it. It's called impulse action, immediate action, unthoughtful action. By naturally, it comes out. So Mr. Russell says that this impulse action is the cause of any activity of humans. It's not the ideology. It's an immediate reaction. Even if you have a knowledge, even if you have an ideology, you are trained in a particular ideology and you have a knowledge about it. If you do that, what would be the consequences? Generally, there is a view that cause and effect. Every effect has a cause. Without cause, there is no effect. But Mr. Russell's view that it's an impulse. Even if you know there is a cause, because of that it's going to happen, it's happening. Even then, a human by nature, he acts immediately. There is a one, someone told me that when there was a earthquake in Gujarat, long ago, even handicapped people, they throw away everything and ran away from the place, whatever he could do. That's called immediate reaction without thought. So Russell was of the view that these big wars that occur between the nations, the final decision they take, even about war, it's because of impulsive nature of humans. See, the book he wrote, Principles of Social Reconstruction, it was written in the background of the World War One. And Mr. Russell was against the war. He wants peace. However, he says that without conflict, there is no activity. And conflict or war happens, the final decision human take, because of the impulsive nature, not because of any ideology, not because of just having any knowledge. Sometimes you might have seen your own life, even after knowing very well that if you take a particular decision and that's going to help you, even then sometimes you might be not taking that decision. And later on you repent. I know. I know very well that I should have taken the decision at that particular point. Why I could not take it? You might feel like that. Or you might feel that, oh, I have taken the decision, but I should have implemented the decision more forcefully, more effectively, instead of just lightly, I just thought of it, I put it, but the results though positively I got it, but not that much of effectively I got it because I didn't implement my decision such effectively so that I could get more effective results. So this kind of feelings you might have experienced in your life when by knowing very well to take a such decision, you could not take it properly, the decision. Sometimes you might be not taking even a decision, even knowing very well that you should take that decision. Why it happens? It's impulsive reactions. That's what Bertrand Russell says in his book, uh, The Principles of Social Reconstruction. So Bertrand Russell was of the view that criticism is a best option of controlling impulse. See, due to impulse nature, wars do occur between the countries. That's what Mr. Russell says. When you put the same concept in our own day-to-day life, conflicts. See, between the two people, what happens? It's not a war. War happens between the nations. Between the two people or two communities, what happens? It's a conflict. It's not a war. It's a conflict. So Russell was talking about war between two nations. If you apply the same concept in to between two individuals or between two communities, it is conflict. So impulsive nature. Oh, that time I should have not done this. I have been in this trouble because that time I acted very hastily. Even though I thought, I don't know why I took decision. I should have not acted like that. We do feel like this in our own practical life. Why it happens? It happens because of the impulsive nature of the humans. But Russell says to control this impulsive nature of humans should develop the nature of quietness, quieticism, keeping quiet. That helps the man not to expose himself to the decision. If you apply the better Russell concept of this impulse to the present day ongoing war or conflict between Russia and Ukraine, or Israel and Palestine, if you look at these things, the present day conflicts between the nations, between the people, between the communities, Bertrand Russell was of the view that these things happen because of the impulsive nature of leaders. Leader takes decision even though after long thought, but the final decision when a leader decides to going for war, it's because of the impulsive nature of the human. It's a human's impulsive nature, not because of any clear ideology. Out of all justifications, why a country, a nation goes war against another nation, why a person conflicts, it's a book review of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar with other community. The final decision is because of impulsive nature of humans. Here, Bertrand Russell talking about social psychology of the practical human life. After having all the knowledge, after having all justification, after having all reasons, there are many occasions, many leaders didn't decide to go for war. Many people, after having all justification, why he or she could be involved in a conflict with others, after all justifications, after having all reasons, many people don't involved in the conflicts, don't fight with others. But some people fight and they give justification for fighting. Some people take a conflicting decisions that put themselves in trouble and others also in trouble. So Bertrand Russell says these are all because of the same, you see, same similar reasons two people must be experiencing. But one person go for conflict, another person fight. Why? It's because of their different exposure to the impulsive natures. See, it said that commenting on the observation of Mr. Russell on the philosophy of war, Dr. Ambedkar opines that Mr. Russell is against war, but it doesn't mean he is for quietism. Yes, Mr. Russell floats the quietism, concept of quietism, to control the impulse nature, of violent impulse nature, to avoid the war. But doesn't mean he is totally for the quietism, because quietism is another name of death. Suppose you are keeping quiet totally. Some people keep quiet ideologically because they believe in the peace. Some people keep quiet because having a strategy. That's why it is said that the biggest enemy to the society is not the bad person, but the good person who doesn't act. The good person, he keeps quiet. So on the one hand, Mr. Bertrand Russell says it's an impulsive activity, immediate activity that leads to war. And war causes violence, destruction, pain. That's why one should adopt quietism. But at the same time, Mr. Russell also says only quietism, though quietism stops the war and it stops the destruction of the society and people, but quietism alone can't make a civilization to develop, make a society to develop. Why? Because without activity, there is nothing. And what it said, quietism is another name of death. Suppose if I want to bring Buddha's middle path here, it's very much suited. It means absolute quietism is a death. A good person, he knows everything, he knows law, he knows everything, but he doesn't act. What is the use of him? There is no use of that good person to the society. If he is not raising his voice against injustice, if he is not helping the needy, so what is the use of that good person? Good person is only for the namesake. If he gets a good person awards, what is the use of it? If he gives a lectures on peace 100 times, what is the use of it? Unless his act. So activity leads to growth. That's what Ambedkar feels. Ambedkar, when he was reviewing the Russell's book, he interprets that quietism is another name of death. Activity leads to growth. See, Mr. Russell's book, Principles of Social Reconstruction, is a anti-war book. Remember this. That is the reason sometimes Mr. Russell oversimplifies the things and proposes quietism to control the impulse. Here it is said that violence cannot always be avoided, and non-resistance can be adopted only when it is a better way of resistance. Means keeping quiet, non-resisting against the injustice only when it is a better way of resistance. Sometimes non-resistance itself is a form of resistance. Not reacting is a form of action. But only when you think that it's a better option, then only you should be. In other way, keeping quiet or non-resisting the injustice always, it's not going to be helpful to the society. Here, Ambedkar quotes Nietzsche. Nietzsche very famously said about Christianity that there was only one Christian, that was Jesus Christ, and who was crucified because Christian principles of peace and love, it's impracticable. It's not useful for the human society. That's why there was only one Christian in the world, that was Jesus Christ, who was crucified because of his philosophy. So there is no place for the peace. There is no place for the love. This is what Nietzsche says. In that context, Ambedkar says that though regionally Christianity was West, means Christianity, Western countries were dominated by the Christian thought. Ambedkar says that it doesn't mean that Christianity was nothing to do with the Eastern culture. Ambedkar says that Christianity is very much part and parcel of Eastern culture, though it is a dominant thought in Western societies. Because Ambedkar said Christianity in its origin as well as in its content is essentially Eastern. I'm quoting Ambedkar from his book review he made, Mr. Russell and the Reconstruction of Society, page 4486, volume 1. Ambedkar says that though Christianity is regionally West, what do you mean to say that Christianity was a dominant religion in the Western countries? Yet, quote unquote, quote, yet Christianity in its origin as well as in its content is essentially Eastern. So Ambedkar says that Christianity was born in Eastern culture, Eastern region of the world, and developed here. It's a totally Eastern thought and Eastern culture, Christianity. It's not a Western culture. Christianity is not a Western culture. Christian thought is not a Western culture. It's very much Eastern culture. It's born in Eastern part of the world. It's developed in the Eastern part of the world. It's a culture, its thought is of Eastern. It's only migrated from Eastern part of the world to the Western part of the world. That's the meaning of the Ambedkar statement that Christianity in its origin as well as in its content is essentially Eastern. Why is stating this? It's to counter the Nietzsche. Nietzsche was treating the Christianity as a only Western culture, and he was admiring the Eastern culture, stating that you know very well. Nietzsche was the admirer of Manu. Manu, you know very well, was a no ancient social thinker. He was an Aryan Brahmin social thinker. He believed in a super race called Brahmin. So Nietzsche was admirer of Manu. I don't go into the details of that. Nietzsche gives another name to Manu, which Ambedkar also talked somewhere else. We discuss about those things in some other lecture. So in that context, Ambedkar take a position that Christianity is not that Western. It is very much the Eastern. What was the context exactly Ambedkar was talking? Not only Nietzsche, he was talking about Indian nationalism context. So he says that look at the attitude of Indians. The attitude of the attitude towards life on the part of Indians, notwithstanding its theoretical impossibility and the many vicissitudes through which the country has passed. The present day Indian nationalism. See, the book is the review was made in the year I said last class. I said when was it reviewed? It's the book was reviewed in the book was written in 1916, and it was published in 1917. It was published in, yeah, 1917. Nationalism was there during the national movement. Ambedkar was talking this. So he said that Indian nationalism. What was the worldview of the Indian nationalism? Indian nationalism, it is said that the present day of Indian nationalism, which sadly enough is tantamount to justifying everything Indian. Ambedkar says that it's very unfortunate, it's very sad that everything of Indian is justified in the name of the Indian nationalism. This attitude is likely to be upheld and continued. Today also we talk about the nationalism. This is the statement of Ambedkar in 1917s. He was telling that this Indian nationalism, movement of Indian nationalism going on, that time the worldview of Indian nationalists was that everything of Indian is justified. Whatever is of Indian is justified. But Ambedkar differs with the Indian nationalists. Ambedkar was also a great Indian nationalist. But Ambedkar says that no, casteism, discrimination in the name of caste, it's all Indian. Because of the Indian origin caste, we can't justify the casteism. In that context, Ambedkar says that everything of Indian we can't justify in the name of Indian nationalism. Very unfortunately, very sadly, Indian nationalists are justifying everything of Indian national, everything of Indian origin as Indian nationalism, which Ambedkar differs. And he felt that very sad that this is going to continue. And today, 2025, even today, Ambedkar was right. Ambedkar said in before 2025, before 1925, that this kind of attitude, this kind of thinking, that everything of Indian is justified by the nationalists. It will continue. And it is continuing today also. So Ambedkar differs from the such Indian nationalist who believes that everything of Indian is justified. Ambedkar never justified just because of it born in India. Of course, if you are a scholar and an enlightened mind you have, naturally, not only in India, even if you are American, if you are in any country you belong, just because of something born in any country, it doesn't mean that everything is justified. Everything is acceptable, and everything is a positive. Everything is constructive. It can't. It can't. Can you justify everything, whatever related to your family? Tell me frankly. You can't. Sometimes your dad might commit a mistake. After all, they are human beings. Even your family members are human beings. After all, our own citizens, our own field people, our own country people, also human beings. They do mistakes. They do create wrong ideas. So we are all human beings. In a society, in a history, people do propagate wrong ideas. People do propagate right ideas. It happens with every country, every nation, every society. Just because of something is born in foreign country, we can't deny it. Look at AI, artificial intelligence. The grandfather of artificial intelligence is a foreigner. We are all happy to have artificial intelligence. Electricity, what not foreign? Tell me, what not foreign? We have created many great things in India, and foreigners are adopting it. And many great things born in foreign countries. We are adopting it. It's a history. It's a part of history. Languages do develop. It's not that language is eternal. Every language might have born some or other time. Every material thing also born some or other time. So fighting for the things in the name of culture, in the name of ideology, Ambedkar is up against this. So Ambedkar was a true nationalist because only such a things he accepts which are helpful, useful, having social utility. Only such things Ambedkar accepts. That's why you might have seen Ambedkar dress code, suit, boot, tie, everything. You can't call it as a foreign because all over the world, everybody use it. It has its own place. That kind of dress culture has its own place. Language, English, all over the world people speak. Why? Of course, you could say that just because of English ruled many parts of the world, that language might have come, that language became very dominant. That might be the historical fact. But it doesn't mean that it's because of it came from some outside we can't accept. Ambedkar accepted. Ambedkar accepted English language. Ambedkar accepted suit boot culture. What I'm trying to say that there are two kinds of nationalists. If I look Ambedkar's statement, if I understand Ambedkar's statement from that perspective, if I view the nationalists, there are two kinds of nationalists. One kind of nationalists are nationalists who believe that whatever of Indian is justified. It's a part of their nationalism. Ambedkar nationalism is different. Ambedkar nationalism, Indian nationalism is that whatever of Indian, whatever of Indian origin or foreign origin is useful for the India, is useful for the empowerment of Indians, is Indian nationalism. That's what Ambedkar Indian nationalism. So if I take this statement of Ambedkar that the present days of Indian nationalism, which sadly enough is tantamount to justifying everything Indian, the attitude is likely to be upheld and continued. Very sad, he is saying. On the basis of this statement, if I can understand the nationalism, Indian nationalism or Indian nationalist thinking, there are two kinds of nationalists. Ambedkar kind of nationalism is such that whatever useful, whatever the things having ideas or material things, whatever it may be, if it is a culture, if it is a material things, whatever it may be, if it empowers India, if it empowers Indian society, irrespective of where it is originated, if it is Indian originated or foreign originated, it doesn't matter. Everything is Indian nationalism. If it is helping to the Indians. Getting my point? This is the difference between the Ambedkar Indian nationalism and others Indian nationalism. Now, to go ahead, so what do you want to say that generally Indian nationalists, the non-Ambedkar Indian nationalists believe that all the material things are foreign, of Western. India is only of peace. Eastern things Eastern is only peace. Here Indian nationalists talk about the East and West. Remember this. All Western culture is bad. All Eastern culture is good. That's what generally Indian nationalists talk about. How they take how their worldview was during the Indian national movement. So during the Indian national movement, the Indian nationalist view was that everything about the Eastern culture is peace, everything about the Western culture is violence. Ambedkar differs from it. Ambedkar differs from it. Ambedkar says that look at the Christianity. Christianity is the dominant thought of the Western culture, but it's born and brought and developed in the Eastern culture. It is the Western people who adopted the Eastern culture, not in reverse. Ambedkar says that Christianity in its origin as well as its content is essentially Eastern. So who is adopting what? If you look at the history of religions, all the religions born in Eastern culture only, not in the Western culture. Not a single religion born in Western culture. Remember this. It is the Western people, they should cry. Oh, why we should adopt the Eastern culture? They should cry. Christianity is a foreign religion. Americans should cry. Europeans should shout. Australians should oppose the Christianity because Christianity is very much born in the Eastern region. That's what Ambedkar says. To make it more clear, my point, where was the Christianity born? Where it was born? Can anybody tell? See, look what Ambedkar says. Christianity in its origin as well as in its content is essentially Eastern.
Born in Jerusalem.
Yes, Jerusalem. Where is it?
Central Asia. Central Asia, sir. Central Asia.
Central Asia. Middle East Asia. It's a Middle East Asia. It's a Middle East Asia. It's an Asian culture. Islam born where? Is it in Europe? Islam born? Where it was born? Where it was born? Tell me. Arab.
Arabian Gulf, sir. Yes, sir. Arabian Gulf.
Yes, it's in Arab countries. So Arab is in Asia or Western? East or Western? Anybody can tell me or not? Akash?
Eastern, sir.
Western?
Middle East. Middle East, sir. Middle East.
What are nonsense you are talking? You are a PhD student. It's the Eastern. All religions born in Eastern region. Christianity born in Jerusalem. That's the Middle East Asia. Islam born in Arab country. That is in where it is? West Asia. West Asia. Buddhism born in India. That is in South Asia. Hinduism born in India. That is in South Asia. Sikhism born in India, that's in South Asia. Many religions born in India actually. So among the Eastern, all religions born in Eastern culture, among all those religions, majority religions born in India. So these are all Eastern cultures. When you divide East and West, all religions, it is Americans who should shout, you should cry, or they should oppose Christianity because Christianity was born in Eastern culture. They should oppose if they want to oppose. I don't say that they should oppose. What I'm trying to say that I don't believe in opposing any religion. What I'm trying to say that there is nothing called just because of something born in East, we should not adapt. Look at the European countries. Look at the America. Look at the Australia. These are all highly powerful, highly developed, having great civilizations, produced such a knowledge to the world. You can't imagine world history without Europe. But European Christian thought, it was very much born in Asia. So what I'm trying to say that Ambedkar was such an Indian nationalist. He was of the view that even after accepting whatever good for India, whatever born in India, we should not accept such a things which is not useful for Indian society to become powerful. Say for example, caste system, varnashrama dharma. This kind of things Ambedkar opposed throughout his literature, throughout his life. So you want to say that Quieticism, peace, in the name of Eastern culture, it's not a true understanding of Eastern culture, because the Christianity was very much part of peace, idea of justice, which was born in East. Still, it was adopted by the West. So we can't call the whole Western culture is only materialistic culture, only against the peace. It's because of the Western materialistic culture, Western countries involved in the violence, Western countries involved in the wars, whereas Eastern culture is only for peace. We can't say this. That's what Ambedkar taking position. He said that we can't view like that world history, because Western culture is very much influenced by the Eastern culture through Christianity. So Indian nationalists can't say that only Pietism, peace, is a core principles of Eastern culture. No. Even after accepting the peace-loving religion like Christianity, Western culture involved in the wars. Why? That's what Ambedkar questions. Why? Because Pietism alone cannot make human society to progress. So that's why Ambedkar says that it is Pietism is another name of death. Activity leads to growth. You understand why Ambedkar was talking about Christianity? This is the context he was talking. So life consists activity. Ambedkar was of the view that life consists activity. That is why even Bertrand Russell also, though he was for Pietism, he was against the war. He was also admitting that sometimes conflict, war required for the establishing the peace. In other words, Pietism, absolute Pietism is not acceptable, not useful to the society. Life consists activity. So you have to balance. There Buddha comes, middle path comes. You have to balance between them. That's why today America adopting Buddha also along with the Jesus. So being social scientist and historian, what I feel that this is my view. This is neither Ambedkar's view or Russell's view. This is my view. I am putting it in this context. My view that I feel that I visualize that there is a global society is emerging all over the world. Though we talk about nationalism, though we talk about the culture, our own culture that days, what's happening that the new world model is emerging through the internet, artificial intelligence. See, after all, human is a social being. Why it is said the human is a social being? Because of communication. Human can't survive without communicating with others. What is the meaning of jail, prison? What is that? If anybody do any wrong thing, he is put in the jail. What is the meaning of the jail? He is disconnected from communicating to broader society. The prisoner is disconnected. One who is in the jail. What is his punishment? What is punishment? Tell me, what is punishment? In the jail, in the prison, this prisoner gets food. He gets food. He gets a facility to write books also. He gets a facility to read books also. He gets a facility to get education also. He gets everything. Then what's the meaning of the prison? The main meaning is that his freedom to communication is restricted. That's the meaning of the prison. See, big letters are house imprisoned. Do you know this concept, house imprisoned? Sometimes leaders are, big political leaders are house imprisoned. They are not put in the jail, in the prison of the government. The leader is kept in his own home, our own home. Why? Restricting that person from exercising right to freely communicating with the broader world, to the society. It's restricted. So now coming back to my point of what would be the future world order, this communication is the primary need, necessity, requirement of human society. If a man wants to survive, he can survive without food for some time. He can survive without water for some time. But he cannot survive without communicating with others. Fine, agreed. A man is given his basic necessities. The man fights for his food. That's his basic necessity. Once he gets the food, what is next? Food, water. What is next? Next is shelter. Shelter. Without clothes also he can survive. Shelter. The third comes to clothes. Clothes not to show off, to protect his body. Basic requirement. Once all these things is completed, what is the next? Society. How the society happened like this only. One of the basic requirements is completed, then he wants to communicate with others. That communication that's a foundation of human society. Communication is a foundation of human society. So those days, if anybody goes against the society, he is excommunicated. Excommunicated, socially boycotted. Means the person is kept away from the village. A person who committed a wrong is thrown out of the village. The untouchables were excommunicated. Means untouchables were excommunicated people. Means they were not allowed to communicate to the society. Now coming back to my point of what kind of model, social model is going to emerge. It's emerging, not going to emerge. It's emerging. What I visualize that this is going to be a dominant model, social model in the world, because the communication is becoming very easy because of the social media. WhatsApp, easy to communicate, easy to make your own groups. Twitter, very easy to communicate your videos, through your videos. There are many. Facebook, Instagram, many. So once the communication has become handy, once upon a time you have to beg the media people, print media people, TV journalists. You have to beg them to show your news. Today what happened? You don't need to beg anyone. You can create your own video free of cost. You can upload your video in the YouTube. You can upload and you put your views immediately, instantly in the Twitter, your view. And it's not that if you express your view, it will be seen your neighbor. No. It could be seen by Elon Musk also, who is the owner of the Twitter sitting in America. You get to know what Trump is tweeting. You get to know what world leaders are tweeting. You get to know what the Indian Prime Minister is tweeting. You get to know what the opposition leader is tweeting. You get to know what is your local neighbor is tweeting. Communication. So when I say that communication is the foundation of human society, what I mean to say that world is becoming more and more depending on each other culturally and materially. Social culture and material culture, both. So I believe that Ambedkar is going to be proven right. Irrespective of its origin, we must take the best things out of every culture to build our nation, Indian nation, very strong and powerful. To make Indian nation really a powerful nation in the world, the only way is Ambedkar way, that is adopting everything wherever it is born. If it is Indian origin, if it is a foreign origin, it's an American origin, or anywhere, we should take the best out of all cultures and adopt it as our own Indian culture. That's why Ambedkar adopted English as his own Indian culture. Ambedkar never treated English as a foreign language. Ambedkar treated English as his own language. Ambedkar never treated suit, boot, everything as a foreign dress. No. Ambedkar treated is of Indian culture. So Ambedkar Indian nationalism, Ambedkar Indian culture is entirely different from the others. And I strongly believe that this is the only Ambedkar Indian cultural path, Ambedkar culture, Indian cultural ideology. That is the only going to make India very powerful country, because reason is also there, logic also there. How? You are taking best of the, look at America. Why America is a so powerful country? It's not only because of the Americans who born in America. It's because America adapt and invite, co-opt the best brains from different nations. Look at the Sundar Pichai of Google. He was not born in America. He was an Indian. But today he is serving American society. He's making American economy powerful economy. If America said that, no, Sundar Pichai born in Indian, or this NVIDIA chairman, NVIDIA CEO born in some China, or even this Elon Musk, he was born in Africa. If America takes such a stand, then America can't be a great country. So Ambedkar model is adopted by America. Best things we have to invite. Best ideas we have to invite. It doesn't matter where it is born. After all, whole world is divided into nations. Only later on, earlier there was no visas. Earlier there was no passports. Anybody can migrate anywhere. That is how society developed. This visa, passports, these are all came because of the political insecurity. Security for the sake of the political insecurity. When the nation states started existing, then only this national security reasons, these passports, visas, that concepts developed. Otherwise, the whole world was, from a spiritual perspective, the whole world was created by God. And all humans were also created by God. And all humans were created equally by God. So where is the hierarchy, social hierarchy? Who is above, who is below? Who is a dominant race, who is a lower race? All races are equal. All humans are equal. All countries are equal. All cultures are equal. All languages are equal. All food habits are equal. It doesn't matter whether any person eating what. If he is finding it healthy, let him eat. But only thing, you should not be forced to eat what you don't want to eat. So why we worry about what other people are eating? Why we worry about what other people are drinking? Why we worry about what other people are dressing? Why we worry about what other people are speaking? It's their choice. Unless it is not harming, you have no right to question it. If anything is harming you, then you can question it. That's what Ambedkar Indian nationalism. That's what Ambedkar Indian culture. Though I am here talking about Ambedkar's book review on Mr. Russell's book, unless we apply those things in our own, the present day life, way of life, it has no meaning of discussing what Ambedkar wrote in almost 100 years before. What is the meaning? The book reviews was written 100 years before. What is the meaning of discussing now? So much of change in the world. We discuss the great people ideas even after 100 years. We discuss because some of those ideas have relevance even today, and more, and above that, a speaker, the person who is lecturing, the person who is talking about those things, should have the ability to apply those things to the present day life also. Then only it's a validity. Otherwise, simply reading and reading, you people also can take a book and read it. Expressing the facts, it's not going to be helpful. Why we assemble here? Why we spend our time in academic lectures? Not because what the person who gives a lecture talk about the book or any thinker. No, how those ideas are explained in the present context. For that reason only, we listen to the we participate in the academic lectures. In the political lectures, you have no right to question. So it's a waste of time to attend the political lectures unless you are a follower of a political leader. Academic lecture, you no need to be follower of my ideas. You no need to accept my ideas. That's what we have a question and answer session. So that is the beauty of academic lecture and political lecture. That is the reason why we conduct more and more academic lecture. Now, come back to the point. What I said, that life consists in activity. See, here in the whole book, Ambedkar is talking about Russell emphasize more of quietism, though he accepts that activity needs force. Force as energy is a positive and constructive. Force as violence is a destructive. It's a negative. So quietism, of course, quietism is a strategy. And quietism or non-resistance, these are also kind of actions. Keeping quiet also kind of action sometimes. But doesn't mean that it is always useful. Now, here Ambedkar raises very important worldview of Indian nationalists. Again, he's coming here. See, Ambedkar was, the purpose of Ambedkar reviewing the Mr. Russell's book is that to counter the Indian nationalist view about everything of Indian origin is correct. To counter that view, Ambedkar is actually book reviewing. Try to understand why Ambedkar is making this book review. He doesn't want Russell's view should be taken by the Indians and justify that peace, love, criticism is the only philosophy. Even look, even the foreigners, even the great thinker like great 20th century philosopher like Bertrand Russell. Bertrand Russell was 20th century great social philosopher of Europe. But Ambedkar don't want Indian nationalists to claim, look, even Bertrand Russell was also speaking against the war. He is also supporting the, he was also supporting the view of the peace, love, criticism. This is very much Eastern culture. It means that even Western people also supporting in the sense Western people also of the view that Eastern culture is a great. This is the Indian view, Indian nationalist view. But Ambedkar Indian nationalist view is different. This is the non-Ambedkarite nationalist views, which Ambedkar is countering it. So that's why he is interpreting the Mr. Russell's views in different way. He says that, well, Mr. Russell says quietism, but Mr. Russell also says that not only quietism, sometimes force also required, because force is a core principle of idea for the human growth. If it is applied in the form of energy, not in the form of violence. Here, Ambedkar takes up a new concept. The new concept is, I'll read this paragraph because these are all, even today, these concepts are what Ambedkar rightly said. Though Ambedkar was talking in Indian national movement time, Ambedkar was of the view that these beliefs among the Indian nationalists going to stay forever. So even today we'll find that whatever origin in India, it's totally correct, like that. So Ambedkar counters another view of the Indian view, some Indian nationalists, not Ambedkar Indian nationalism, some others Indian nationalism. What Ambedkar says, look, let me read out quickly this paragraph so that we can have my listeners or viewers should not misunderstand me that this is my view. It's Ambedkar's view. I am quoting Ambedkar from his book, Mr. Russell and the Reconstruction of Society. Quote, quote begins, of the many reasons urged in support the Indian view of life. He's talking about Indian view of life. Of the many reasons urged in support the Indian view of life, one is that it is chiefly owing to its influence that India alone of all the world's countries has survived to this day. This is a statement that is often heard and even from persons whose opinions cannot be too easily set aside. With the proof or disproof, however, of this statement, I do not wish to concern myself. Granting the fact of survival, I mean to take a statement yet more important. It is this: there are many modes of survival, not all are equally commendable. For instance, mobility to beat a timely retreat may allow weaker varieties of people to survive. So the capacity to grovel or lie low may equally as the power of rising to the occasion be the condition of the survival of a people. Consequently, it cannot be granted, as is usually supposed, that because a people have survived through ages, that therefore they have been growing and improving through ages. Thus, it is not survival, but the quality, the plane of survival, that is important. If the Indian readers of Mr. Russell probe into the quality of their survival and not remain contented merely with having survived, I feel confident that they will be convinced of the necessity of a reevaluation of their values of life. This is the quote from B.R. Ambedkar on how some Indians feel that Indian civilization, Indian culture survived in comparison to other civilizations, other countries. Hence, Indian culture is great. That's what some Indians argue. But Ambedkar is countering that argument. Ambedkar says that just because of something is survived for many years, it doesn't mean that that is a great. Simply survival is not enough. What is the quality of life? What is the quality of the survival? That matters. That's what Ambedkar says. India alone of all the world's countries has survived to this day. This is the claim made by some Indians. That's why Indian civilization, Indian culture is great. Ambedkar says that, of course, Indian civilization, Indian culture is great. Not everything of India is great. Not everything which is born in Indian culture, Indian society is not great. Same is the case with America also. Same is the case with every country. Just because of anything born in any country doesn't mean that's a great. Just because of something survived for many years, it doesn't mean that's a great. That's what Ambedkar says. Now I am explaining what the paragraph which I read from Ambedkar text. So Ambedkar says it is not survival, but the quality, the plane of survival that is important. The quality of survival is important. For example, a person is born as a beggar. A person is born as a beggar. From childhood, he born as a beggar. He born to a beggar's parents. He lost his parents after his birth immediately. So he was not having parents, he was orphan. That beggar survived 120 years only by begging. Tell me frankly, can you call him as a great man of India? I'm asking you people.
No, sir.
I'm just trying to put the Ambedkar thought into practical examples. We can't call such a beggar as a great man of India just because of his survived for 120 years by begging. So Ambedkar was very clear. It's not the survival, it's a quality of survival. Just because of caste system, just because of untouchability, just because of the Varnashram Dharma, these things survived for many years. It doesn't mean that they are great. They are great institutions. No. That's what Ambedkar want to say. If I apply Ambedkar's statement of this, it is not survival, but the quality, the plane of survival, that is important. So how, that's what Ambedkar says, even if it's life is short, the quality of life matters. It doesn't matter how long you live. Many people want to live forever, as many days as possible, as many years as possible, without improving the quality of their life. So Ambedkar putting all this survival concept in the quietism concept. The theory of quietism, which developed by Mr. Russell. Quietism, it is it's some extent fine, but quietism as a total ideology, total way of life, it's not useful. So what he says that mobility to beat a timely retreat may allow weaker varieties of people to survive. If you are retreating from everything, if you are running away from everything, you are weakest person. That's what Ambedkar says. Only weakest people, they run away from the challenges. Only weakest people, they run away from the conflicts. Only weakest people, they opt quietism every time. Of course, quietism good only sometimes. But quietism can't be a foundation of society or foundation of life, foundation of way of life. So that's the weakest people, weakest society does to retreat from everything. Here I would like to talk about Gramsci. Gramsci, look what he says. He says that in a difficult situation, one step back to prepare for two steps ahead. So sometimes it doesn't. We feel that we'll get a ego. We'll get a ego. We don't want to come down. We don't want to retreat. We want to argue for everything, and we fight. That is not going to be helpful. Look at the Gramsci. I am talking about Gramsci. Gramsci is very much fitting into this Ambedkar's ideas. Gramsci ideas are coming very near to the Ambedkar ideas. Gramsci says that one step backward doesn't mean that you have lost the battle. One step backward means you are preparing for making two steps ahead, two steps to go ahead. So quietism means retreating, means stepping aside, means yes, it helps you not to keep quiet forever. Prepare yourself to go again back to the area of conflict. Because ultimately, it's an activity that brings the progress. Without action, no progress. We have so many thoughts. Everybody having many thoughts here. So many thoughts. See, man is a man. Only man has thinking mind. So we keep on thinking since the time we born till our death, we keep on thinking. But every thought we never make an activity. Suppose quieticism became your ideology, quieticism became your total what survival. Survival. So quieticism helps us to survive. Yes, of course. Or slaves, they can also survive. Quieticism helps you to survive. Quieticism could be a strategy to get back, to step back. Why want to step back? Why want to keep quiet? Not for the sake of keeping quiet. To prepare yourself. When we put the fancy here, to prepare yourself. Again, to go back to the arena of conflict, arena of activity, where you can act. It's like, a professor, before taking class, he prepares a lecture. Preparing a lecture is a quietism. Activity, he delivers a lecture. Because once you deliver a lecture, students will ask you questions. That's an action. There is a conflict. Sometimes students question you, sometimes students disagree with you, they argue with you. So conflict is there. Just because there is a conflict, no, I don't want to give a lecture, but I want to prepare the lessons means, well, some people don't even prepare lesson. When I don't deliver lecture, why should I prepare lesson? It's better not to deliver a lecture. Otherwise, people ask question. I also contact many professors to deliver a lecture on our platform. I'm happy to inform you that many eminent professors from the highly reputed universities like JNU, Delhi University, whatnot, many universities, they responded and they'll deliver lectures. Almost we have completed more than 30 lectures. I'm happy to inform all of you. But I really congratulate my this KIDK coordinators for facilitating these lectures. But you know very well, there are some professors who never respond because they prefer quieticism. If you prepare lecture, then we have to go deliver lecture. Then the listeners, the viewers will question us and be unable to answer why all this tensions. And why this quieticism by way of life. So some people withdraw themselves from the activity, they become quiet. Very unfortunate. These people claim themselves Ambedkarites also, and they prefer quieticism. Which Ambedkar questions. And these people talk about the Gramsci also, but they prefer quieticism. You combine Ambedkar and Gramsci, you can understand. Yes, quieticism is meant for preparation for the activity, for the better effective activity. Quieticism is not meant for sitting quiet throughout your life. No. You understand? See, lifetime strategy I am explaining to all of you. In our practical day-to-day life also, it's not that everything we have to react. No need. It's not that every time we have to involve conflicts. No need. It's not that everything we have to argue. No need. But it doesn't mean also that everything we have to quit. No. We should keep quiet. No. Our silence means a preparation for future activity. Try to understand this. This is a true Ambedkarism. This is the true Ambedkarite Indian nationalism. This is a true Ambedkarite Indian national culture. That's what Ambedkar questions. Simply survival. Quieticism gives you longer survival, of course. You are involving in activity means you are countered. There is no perfect person in the world. There is no perfect ideology in the world. There is no perfect thing such as in the world. Everything is questioned, everything is countered, and everything is under conflict. Getting my point? So we have to adopt quietism, keeping quiet, not as a philosophy, not an ideology, not as a way of life, but as a strategy. Activity is our ideology, activity is our culture, activity is our way of life. Because Ambedkar clearly says, what is it? Activity leads to growth. Life consists in activity. If there is no activity, who doesn't act? Only deaf person can't act. So criticism is, that's what Ambedkar said very clearly. Criticism is death. Criticism is another name of death. Getting my point? So survival is not enough. How long we survived? How long your civilization survived? How long our culture survived? How long our country survived? How long our society survived? It doesn't matter how long you survived. How long your grandfather survived? How long you are surviving? It doesn't matter. What matters is what's the quality of life. Ambedkar whole family died out of poverty. He cried and cried. If he wanted, he would have gone to UK back, settled very happily in some university as a great professor, would have earned in pounds, would have become a rich. His future generation would have become highly settled people. Why sacrifice all that kind of life? Why he came to India and settled here, sacrificed the whole of his family, died most of all his children except one or two. In front of him, his own beautiful child, whom he loved, Raja Ratan, if I am correct, died in front of his own eyes. He came back from the foreign education. He was not getting proper job in India. His son died because he unable to provide even milk, even protein food to his own wife and a child, small child. In front of him died. Even then, he didn't go back to foreign country to have his own happy life. No, he sacrificed. But it doesn't mean, did he ever involve in violent activity, Ambedkar? No. Suddenly most of the people who become violent because they take the ideology, name of the ideology, not because of ideology. Many people become violent because of their own bad personal experiences. Ideology only, what is that, paint, justification they give. Oh, I believe in this ideology, that's why I become violent, that this. It's all they are trying to mislead. Many people in their own personal lives, they take a conflicting positions, they fight against the people, it's because of their own personal experiences. Ideology only motivate them. But that impulse which I'm talking, it's because of personal experience. The impulse which Mr. Russell was talking, it's because of the personal experiences. But the great people like Ambedkar never succumb to the circumstances. There is some concept called fight and flight. Fight or flight. There's a concept called fight or flight. When you are facing any difficult situation or challenge, suppose suddenly you found a tiger in the forest, what you do? You have only two options. Either you have to fight with the tiger or you have to flight. Means you have to run away from the tiger. Like that, in practical life situations also, we have only two options. Either you have to fight with the challenge, you have to face the challenge, you have to fight against the situation, or you have to flight away from the situation. You run away from the situation, run away from the difficulties. Ambedkar is such a great person that he didn't flown away from India. He was having his own personal experience. He lost his family, his wife died, his child died, his wife died, his whole personal life ruined. He didn't opt the violence. He didn't fight. Or he didn't flight also. He didn't run away from India to foreign to have a better life. No. So he didn't fight, he didn't flight also. He didn't fight in the means, he didn't take any violent method. He never said that because of this caste system, because of discrimination, I am unable to get a job here, even though I studied in America and England. But this country has not given me, India has not given me proper job. That's why even after having merit, even after having talent, I didn't get proper jobs. That's why I'm unable to get a income. Because of that reason, I unable to provide good life to my family. That's why my child died in front of my eyes. That's why my wife died, my life ruined. He didn't say all these things. He didn't say. But he didn't know, based on this, his personal experience, he didn't adopt a violent method. No. So he didn't fight violently. And he didn't flight away also from India. He took that poeticism and activity, the path of Buddha, middle path, the path suggested by Gramsci. Of course, Ambedkar didn't mention about the Gramsci. I am putting it in that way. One step backward, poeticism, to prepare for the 2 steps action in the future. So, my dear friends, this is the lecture for today. We will be having the part 3 also. So, one more point is there. I don't want to rush with the Ambedkar ideas because already the history has produced the history of Ambedkar followers, the history of Ambedkar followers, the 70 years history of Ambedkar followers has produced many followers of many Ambedkarites who are having conflicting thoughts about Ambedkar. So I want to go step by step, irrespective of how much time it takes, explaining very authentic Ambedkar literature written in English, not translated in Hindi or Marathi, but explaining it in my own way and inviting the questions also. So these my lectures, you know very well, only not a continuous. In between, we have lectures from different professors, thinkers. Right, thank you very much. Jai Bhim, Jai Bharat. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for delivering a wonderful lecture to us. And yes, we are waiting for the third part also. And as you all people know, that our lecture is not yet till now. So we don't going to allow question answer session to this lecture. So after completing the whole uh, book review, then only we going to have our question answer session at all. So so we are going to move for our next important session, that is vote of thanks. So I request Shashikant Sambodhi to please.
Akash, can you intervene here? Listen, people should not should not misunderstand. We are inviting the question and answers only after completing the total book review. So the third part, hopefully we will be completing the total book review. So in the third part lecture, we will be taking the question answers for all the 3 parts. So thank you very much.
Thank you. As you know, as you all heard the instruction what our chair and found into this lecture. So we are going to follow that only, and after completing the third part, then only we are going to have our question answer session. So now I request Shashikant Sambodhi to please deliver vote of thanks.
Thank you. On behalf of KIDK, I warmly thank Professor Dr. L. Karunyakara sir, a respected Dalit historian and a Ambedkarite thinker, for chairing today's session, as well as his wonderful and thought-provoking lecture as a key speaker on the topic Ambedkar Text 3, Mr. Russell and the Reconstruction of the Society, Part 2nd. Our professor is a former Vice Chancellor of MGHV University, a Central University, Varda, Maharashtra, and expert of Dalit affairs as well as Dr. Ambedkar writings. Our sincere thanks to all the participants and attendees of the 33rd online lecture in the KIDK lecture series. Special thanks to our coordinator, Dr. Sukeshni, Dr. Darshana Meshram, Dr. Smita Bhagat, Mr. Akash Kobragade, Mr. Shreyat Mr. Vijay Kumbre for their continuous effort and support in making this session successful. This lecture series started on Ambedkar Jayanti 2025 continues to spread knowledge and new ideas in the field of Dalit studies. Thank you once again to everyone for your valuable participation. And before we close, please don't forget to subscribe to the Dalit Knowledge YouTube channel where this recorded session will be uploaded soon. Jai Hind. The session is over.